Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Championship Series America Premier League. We are getting ready to go into our second match here for Group C. I'm excited for this. We got Jaedong versus Oz. Man, I haven't seen Jaedong play in a while.
No, it's been a while, at least the official games, even though, of course, the Dong is always traveling here and there. But it's been a while since we had the pleasure to cast him. And normally it's the opposite, because Jaedong always makes it to round of 16, right? Or always round of 8. And we have this whole storyline, and we do some extra research on Jaedong. However, 2014 has been a disaster year when it comes to WCS for him. Season 1, he got eliminated in that ridiculous group back then with Haas, Arthur, and Bomber, where he lost against Bomber in the losers match, and he got cannon rushed to oblivion.
The epic cannon rush on Polar Knight that nobody will ever forget.
Nope, that was the great 7 pilot ball, and poor Jaedong wasn't exactly sure how to deal with it. But then we thought, oh well, this happens. This was a one-time thing because, you know, Bomber lost his first match as well, and everything went a little crazy. He will be able to come back in Season 2, right? Well, once again, Jaedong lost in the round of 32. This time it was against Hart, who played phenomenal PvZ, and then he also lost against Jim in the loser bracket, who took advantage of his greedy style. Will Oz be able to take advantage of it? I don't know, Nate. What I do know is that we're already loaded into game number 1, which has been played on merry-go-round, so we should just go ahead and jump into the opening phases of this game. As, of course, over here on the right top side of the map, representing Planet Key Dynamics, the runner-up of WCS America 2014 Season 1. That was the best result in his career. It is Oz. I mean, he was also the runner-up of the Inter Extreme Masters Shanghai last year. Yep. But, you know, he definitely made more money of WCS, but both were absolutely fantastic results. He's still waiting for that big tournament victory, though.
Yeah, waiting for that championship crown, which he'll be looking to get this season of WCS. His opponent, who also has a hunger for some big Premier Tournament wins. In the bottom right, our Blue Zerg, representing Evil Geniuses, he is Jaedong. And he, WCS, you kind of said it best. The WCS hasn't been too great for him this year.
Yeah,
but
it's weird.
He still had a good enough solid performance in other tournaments to be in the top 16 overall rankings.
It's really weird because last year it was the opposite. He was actually doing pretty damn well in WCS.
He's gone full Hyun this year.
No, let's say, yeah, so far. He's at least he's part of WCS, though. At least he's getting some points for being part of Premier League, and that definitely helps. But this is a really important season for the Dong, because if he doesn't make it here, well, then he's going to be a very busy bee in the upcoming months, literally probably traveling to every single tournament out there, trying to collect as many points as possible, as he's currently ranked 12. Oz, despite that excellent performance in Season 1, is currently ranked 22, I believe. I saw on the top of the show. So Oz has to do some work. It's a really big season for him as well. Of course, Jaedong is the bigger name, so you know, naturally people are more focused on Jaedong, his performance, and on his WCS ranking. But for Oz, the same thing can be said, Nate. It's important that he does well. Oz made it to BlizzCon last year, or he didn't? Did he barely miss out? Did he finish like 19 or something? I don't remember him at BlizzCon, I believe.
No, I don't. I don't remember him being at BlizzCon either. There's nothing. I don't think he had a lot of crazy success in tournaments overall, aside from that Shanghai run. That's
true. He had a top 8 finish in, or a top 4 finish actually in WCS America Season 3, 2014, 2013. Because I remember he beat Hero in the quarterfinals. So he definitely got a lot of points from that, and then he went to the season finals in Canada, where I believe he played against Vortex in group stage, and they were both smack-talking each other a little bit. That was very fun.
I do remember that.
Anyways, we see a Twilight Council go down in the main base for Oz. Of course, it's important for Oz that he scouts Jaedong, he saw the creep, and he's like, hey, creep is already done, 5 minutes? Alright, this was 3 hatch before pool. Now, something that Oz would love to know is whether or not Jaedong took gas. We know that he didn't. Jaedong is a little stubborn. If this was Jim, Nate, he'd be 4-gated. If Jaedong does this later against Maxset, he'd probably be 4-gated.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. But Jaedong's looking to get right out of this group too. And I have to say, when you look at the potential lineups for these series, oh wow, Oz is mixing it up. Oz is pulling out the Arium build from Challenger.
Good call. Indeed, and of course Dark Templar drop. Oz is most likely going to fire a Warp Prism up as soon as possible. It's really important that Oz, this Overlord, doesn't see the Robo, but it's so close. It's really important that Oz doesn't reveal his Warp Prism, or that he pushes this Overlord away by the time that you know, the Warp Prism sees daylight, because the Warp Prism is a very big tell.
Yeah, I mean, how many? There's not too many things you're gonna do with a Warp Prism unless you have a crazy amount of gateways that aren't Dark Templar. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Jaedong has been pretty lax on his gas since he started finally mining it. He's only got 2 extractors up, and he's going straight for his lair, which I do think is going to be nice versus the Dark Shrine. However, it's going to be finished up about 30 seconds. Yeah, he's going to be actually done way ahead of the lair.
This is actually good for us. Yes, the robotics facility has been scouted, but that's very normal. And now he also knows where this overlord is. This Warp Prism has to not be scouted by either this or this overlord. And there is a very thin line, Nate. In the oh my god, Jaedong didn't see it.
Nope. Dark Shrine's done too. He's gonna. What do you think? Warp in 3 DTs, one for each base, or?
I would say okay.
Oh, he's flying right in a creep.
I would have loved to see him warp in two Dark Templars here immediately.
I think flying right over that creep was a bit silly.
Yep. It's still going to be good though, because there is still no form of detection for Jaedong. He saw the warp and now Spore Crawlers are going down, but we all know that 3 Dark Templars can do some serious work. Layer is about to finish up. What are these Dark Templars going to work on? There is a Spore Crawler here. Jaedong is trying to trap the Dark Templars.
Yeah, he's trying to do some like hold position
I don't really
micro
like
or something. I like now he's splitting the DTs between bases, and this I do like.
I don't think he's gonna kill all that much.
No,
I feel like he's been messing up.
I feel like they should have done a lot more.
Yes, the one over here is not doing too much either. Wow, okay, 7 drones went down, and guys, that may
For
look
3
good,
DTs,
but that's not good at all.
Yeah.
I
3
mean,
Dark
it's,
Templars, like the resource difference between those is actually pretty nuts. Like those, I like the resource loss. 2 units equals pretty much everything that you killed this game.
And 1 Dark Templar did survive, however, it's already been warped in. Of course, there was some indirect damage done as well by forcing out all these Spore Crawlers. So it's not all bad news for us, but I really felt that he had a window there to either kill a base or kill at least, you know, between 12 and 16 drones easily. But he was really messing up. He made things too complicated, then finally found himself some hold position micro, but the Spore Crawler was already blocked out. Of course, good job there by Jaedong as well. I felt like he was messing a little bit with the AI of the Dark Templars, making it hard to get in range of the Spore, and he reacted very quickly, dropping Spores in every single base. So what could have been a disaster definitely didn't turn out to be one.
Yeah, the Spore Prism's going to try to slink back in. Now the Roaches here are in position to catch anything that would come out. But I don't think he should be able to move anything else in. Yeah, he knows about it. He's aware. And this Spore Crawler is actually going to get to work with the help of a Queen.
And there are 2 more Spore Crawlers over here on the north side of this Warp Prism waiting.
This Warp Prism's like the scout. It's like, okay, let's just see what's going on here.
He's the fat observer.
This is the fattest observer I think I've ever seen. One day it'll be like a carrier with no interceptors. It's like, interceptors are too expensive. I just have to run my carrier through the scout. Like, that would be the real fattest observer.
Jaedong is producing a crazy amount of Zerglings and Banelings. He doesn't have any upgrades on these units other than Zergling speed. Does snipe an observer with his Warp Prism. Warp Prism will finally go down. So that's very nice for Jaedong as well. Doesn't have to worry about 4 Dark Templars being warped in when all of his units are on the other side of the map. But I don't think that Zerglings and Roaches are going to cut it. Because Oz, of course, had that quick robotics facility. He has been chrono boosting out Immortals. I feel like Oz has been setting himself up pretty okay. And now this is interesting, Nate. Purging Glance is being researched.
Yeah, he's going to move into some Infestor base play, it looks like. He does still have a lot of these Roaches and Lings outside of the base of Oz, so he has a lot of options. I love using this Dark Templar to try to harass this base, but the one on the top side actually gets caught. Bit unfortunate. Expensive units to lose for sure. And he's actually, he loses the one outside that 4th base, not even being able to delay that.
At least he did some damage to this hatchery, so he softened it up a little bit, and he might be able to finish it off later with 2 additional Dark Templars if Jaedong is out of position. I'm a little bit surprised by the Purging Glance. Of course, Fungo is still good against high amount of sentries, and since Oz is sort of going for a sentry-based composition, I can understand it a little bit. This is kind of a Nitosis pylon, by the way, powering 4 gateways and a cannon. It's a very important little pylon. But Infestors are not that good anymore as soon as we have to worry about a lot of Blink Stalkers as well. And I think that is going to be the case. I really think that Swarmos against this army would have been a better choice to buy some time for yourself. Either way, Jaedong is swinging all the way on the left side of this map, Nate. Oz is moving out. He does have a single Zealot over here, and this is a very important Zealot. As this Zealot right now is going to see Jaedong's army, he's like, oh, that's a lot of Zerglings.
Yeah, this is a very big mobile force, and Jaedong's going to sweep up this Zealot. And Oz, is he going to still move out against
Yeah,
this?
he's gonna leave a few units behind. He has the 2 cannons. He feels confident enough in defending with those cannons. And he's still gonna try to make this work with Immortals +2 upgrades and a lot of Blink Stalkers. And I don't really mind it, Nate. I think he has a chance of making this work. Now,
It's
the
not
good thing
gonna
is,
be easy.
Yeah, the good thing is that this force has already forced us to keep a lot of units at home, so those units fight.
He's going to miss some of his force fields, especially. Now, he's moving in. He's got a lot of Zerglings on the right side. He wants to wait for the rest of his units to come in and hit from behind.
Oh, Jaedong is going to go for the big Zerg
Bungles,
sandwich.
it could work. He's coming in. He wants to take out the pylons, not let him
Oh,
reinforce.
no more energy on the Mothership Core. He used both time warps. Nate, this could actually be really bad for us.
He can't recall. The Fungals are still locking down these Protoss units, and the Zerglings have denied the reinforcements. As soon as these Roaches, as soon as these Immortals are dead, the Roaches are going to reign supreme, but both Immortals, all 3 are dead, and now it's just Stalkers versus Ling Roach. That's not going to cut it.
I think it was a little overeager by us to use both time warps. The first one didn't even do all that much. His force fields were down already. He's still going to blink forward, which means he's going to lose a few more Stalkers. Yes, he will get a couple of Roaches for his efforts, but I feel that Jaedong is in an okay position. He's squeezing out as many units as he possibly can. Meanwhile, Oz is also getting ready to transition at home as he fired up the first Colossus.
I love this style. This is so, I don't know how to call it. It's just crazy. The fast adrenal glands especially, an often overlooked upgrade that I think with this type of army makes it incredibly dangerous to deal with. You can't just fight against this with Zealots once they get pathogen glands.
And of course, Jaedong is already on 4 bases. Having that 7 and 8 extractor is going to help out a lot, getting all those upgrades going and getting Ultralisk out as well. And as soon as he's a bunch of Ultras and then he's able to land the Fungals, well then Blink Stalkers are suddenly going to have a very hard time blinking away. And even Colossus, yeah, they will still be good against the Zerglings, but if Ultralisk stand on top of Colossus, they die very, very quickly. I really think that didn't have to go all that bad for us. Of course, it was a great move by Jaedong at first to show all these units on the left top side of the map. He would have counterattacked if it wasn't scouted, and when it was scouted, he knows that Oz is a good player, so Oz wanted to make sure that he left something at home, which meant that the army over here on the right side of the map was a lot smaller. Really high level play from both sides, and then Jaedong bringing back the forces. That was just an excellent decision.
Yeah, now the switch to Ultralisks is about to finish up though. And he's going to have chitinous plating soon too, and with the amount of queens that he's been building, he's just actually really now started his main queen production, which is not quite where he wants to be. He's not going to have too many transfuses actually.
Now on creep, this will be an absolute massacre. There is no way. Even though the Ultralists don't have the upgrades that the Protoss army have, it's actually a little bit tricky. Jaedong has to be a little bit careful. He's going to drop his first Fungo. The second Fungo is going to connect with all these sentries.
Yeah, but the sentry's not going to do much when there's Ultralisks on the map. What are force fields? And he's just going to barge right through, fungling again the Colossi, and even every Stalker that gets fungled also can't blink, so these Ultras can just kill everything incredibly fast, and even then the transfuses are still doing quite nice for Jaedong, who remains maxed out. 64 Lings on the way, and these Stalkers, if they have to fight against these head-to-head, they're not going to have a good time.
2-2 upgrades are almost ready for Jaedong. He would have loved to have that in the start of this fight. All these Zerglings streaming, he has to be careful though. Jaedong, you have to be careful. You can't let your Zerglings fight without the Ultralist support. He gets a couple of Stalkers for his efforts, but this one Colossus is cleaning up. This is actually getting a little close. There are 6 more Ultras on the way. This time, however, Jaedong will have 2-2 upgrades. And if he just lands 1 or 2 Fungals, Nate, if he just kills his one Colossus, then Zerglings will clean up.
Yeah, it's all about this one Colossus mopping up the Lings that allows these Stalkers to continue fighting. And the Stalkers had that +3 armor, which actually helped a lot against just +1 Zerglings, but now that he's got the +2 upgrades and denies the big Zealot warp in,
if
could
I
still
was,
try to make something crazy happen.
If I was Oz, I'd go back. I'd try to go up to 4 bases. And if I was, I don't think I would push the issue anymore. Unless he thinks that Jaedong is broke, but the opposite is true. The Ultralist tap is still showing us 6 Ultras on the way. He is very low on the Zergling count though. Jaedong has used all of his larva pretty much. He has 14 larva left right now, but he doesn't want to use it on Zerglings just yet. I think if Oz backs off now, Nate, with the upgrades that he has, killing that 4th base...
He doesn't have an Overseer with his army too, unless
Okay.
he attacks into this... Okay, he's going to make Archons.
He's
That
going to
makes
make
sense too.
Archons.
I was going to say, some weird DT play.
I don't think Oz has to attack. It might work, but I don't think he has to.
We're the Infestors. Okay, high on the high ground, and once he cuts a couple Fungals, if he can fungal the Colossi, especially these Ultras can just run rampant, and here he goes, moving in. The first couple Fungals do successfully land on a lot of the gateway units, but the Colossi are stepping behind everything. These Archons blast out tons of damage. but they don't last terribly long against this force, and a lot of these Ultralisks are getting softened up.
Yeah,
but the Colossi
it's
are
enough.
falling.
Exactly. All of them are low on HP, but Stalkers just can't fight Ultras anymore right now, even though some of them are so low on HP. Oz is forced to disengage and is actually going to tap out. GG is called after dropping to only 83 supply and still being stuck on 3 bases. Jaedong was on 3 bases as well, however, though, but he just lost a few too many units, I guess, to stick around a little bit longer. Very entertaining game number 1 on Nimbus. I think both players showed a very fun style to watch. The Dark Templar drop, the Arium opening, went not as successful as it could have been for us. Jaedong showing us a pretty unique style, rushing up to Hive with Adrenal Glands and also Hephaestus, then going up to Ultralisk. I think it was good play from either side, but I really think after Oz killed that 4th base and he survived that first fight, which it was so good for us that these upgrades were just not ready yet for Jaedong. Like 1-1 or 2-2 on your Ultras and Zerglings makes such a big difference. And I really think after killing that base and being on a 180 supply Protoss army with 2-3 upgrades, just sit back.
Yeah.
Go expand again.
Yeah, he had the upgrades. He had everything in place to take the game late, but like at that point, if you're playing against some of the Ultralisks, use your Colossi for the Lings, keep them home, get some Immortals out. The Archons weren't bad, but
if he has 3 Immortals in that army, you're looking at a completely different fight.
Yeah, those Ultralisks are going to get absolutely annihilated. So the second map's going to be Overgrowth for this series, and Overgrowth, I think we've seen a lot of interesting ZVPs on this. It is smaller than Nimbus, but it doesn't have to lend itself towards the early aggression. However, Jaedong can't be quite as greedy because Ozzy's not a stranger to forge openings.
Nope. I don't think that Jaedong is going to go 3 hatch before pool and delay his gases as much as he did on Nimbus. Of course, it's such a strong economic opening that even when those Dark Templars killed 7 drones, that was absolutely no big deal because we saw the production tab. Jaedong just fires up 17 drones because he can. He knows, like, all right, if you open up with a Robo and a Dark Shrine, there's no way there's follow-up aggression. So I'm just going to go and turn all my larvae into drones, made 17 workers at once. It was a really interesting game, and I definitely think a game that's, worth discussing, and I wonder what some other people think about it, but I think after you kill that 4th base of the Zerg, and you have the upgrades that Oz has, if he just sits back and he takes the 4th base that was relatively close to Jaedong, use that as a staging ground, and then just drop a 2nd Robo, squeeze out a few Immortals, then attack again. As long as he scouts, and he still, maybe he didn't have sentries, but he can always like make a Phoenix or make an Observer. He didn't have Phoenixes, but he could have just hallucinated a Phoenix or, use an Observer to scout. Without a greatest...
another Warp Prism to scout with.
Exactly, he could do that too. As long as there's no Great Aspire, I don't think the clock is sticking for you as a Protoss.
No, there's not any, because like you said, unless there's a Great Aspire, you're not really worried about an army that's going to beat a very heavy Colossus, Immortal Force. Like, no. Colossus, Immortal will crush most everything on the ground. Then you get in that many Blink Stalkers, and you add in the Archons. You have everything that you need to beat a Zerg. You just need a little bit more money to keep the war funds going.
Yep. Either way, it was a very entertaining game 1. All of the games have been pretty fun so far. Of course, keep the tweets coming. Hashtag IEM. I'll do it again. Hashtag WCS. IEM was yesterday, I believe. Hashtag WCS. Let us know what you're cheering for. Let us know what you think about the games. And of course, we bring up a couple of tweets as well in a lower third every now and then. So perhaps you're going to have your 30 seconds of tweet stardom.
Become a professional tweeter today. Get your first chance.
I think we need
hashtag WCS.
You know how you have the Hollywood Walk of Fame? I think we need like a tweet of fame. We need a big wall. We do have the SC2 tweets of the day. That's a very fun account to follow on Twitter.
The SC2 quote guys are pretty good at that.
Yeah, they are, and they actually turned it into a website as well. Every now and then when I'm bored, I just browse the website and you see all these tweets over the years.
You see all the silly things that you didn't realize you said, and you're like,
Yeah, that as well. But it's also fun to just see like all these quotes from back then, like 2010, 2011, and stuff like that. It's a great website. Either way, over here on the right top side of Overgrowth, we have the Blue Zerg, currently up 1-0, wants to make it to the round of 16 for the first time in 2014. It is Jaedong. Jaedong is going up against the Korean Protoss player that used to be his teammate once upon a time. Also represented Fnatic in the far past, 2012 I believe it was. He is a Red Protoss, now representing Planet Key Dynamics. It is Oz.
This pylon positioning always makes me feel awkward. It makes me uncomfortable to see where he put his pylon in his main base.
The first time I saw this, I thought that this meant something really crazy, but then it didn't, and I looked really silly. I think it's just going to be a Nexus first for Oz. Unless Jaedong is going to go hatch first and drops another hatch first, then he might change his mind, but I think he's just gonna go Nexus first for us and follow it up with a gateway. If he follows it up with a Forge, I'd be a little bit surprised.
Yeah, that would be a little bit unusual. He will see that it's a hatch first, though. Is he gonna do anything crazy? His probe starts the Nexus. But he's gonna tuck one here anyway. Is he Oh, there's another drone moving out. If he just waited a little bit longer.
Yeah, but he's gonna see that, and this might trigger him to drop a Forge.
Well, yeah, but now he's not gonna go build the hatchery because he saw the probe. I think if he hit that probe just a little bit longer, he actually could have done the ye old Nexus first cannon rush.
Something that Jim has done last week against Nesty. So we do see the spawning pool go down in the main base for Jaedong. I'm very curious to see, Nate, if he's gonna drop Extractors or not. Jaedong has always loved this greedy opening in ZVP, and that's why he's getting punished for it every now and then. There are definitely ways to punish this. And we will see if Oz is one of those players that likes to put up some 4 gateway pressure. If he thinks his opponent is opening up gasless, he's going to send his probe into the main base. He's going to see both Extractors. He's going to see the first one, clicks on it, second one, nothing to see here. So now I wonder, if I was Oz, Nate, you know what I would do?
Build a Forge anyway?
No. Come on, Nate.
4 gate.
It's too late for Forge. I would definitely get 2 gateways in the front and tuck one away in the back after taking care of that first Overlord and put on some 4 gateway pressure. However, there are some Zerg players who, try to trick the Protoss into doing that. I think we just saw Violet do that the other day against Huck, pretending he's opening gasless, and the moment that the probe leaves, then he takes the gas. The speed is going to be done later than you would normally want it, but it's still done in time to deal with any 4 gateway pressure. And of course, Protoss that opens up with 4 gateways and doesn't have any additional tech needs to do some damage with his opening.
I agree. I like that he built the Zealot. He started building the Zealot after the Nexus was already started, and then canceled it right before the Cybernetics core completed. I guess just in case something really weird happened.
Yeah. I have no idea what, because he has a vision of everything else.
Yeah.
But hey, he got the job done. If he's happy with it, Nate, I'm happy with it. So now we'll see how Oz is going to try to go at this. He will warp in the Forge. So that could be just a sign that he maybe wants to play Stargate. He has quite a bit of gas saved up as well. Could be a Robo, could be Stargate.
Yeah, he still has a lot of options for where he could take this game. Jaedong, on the other hand, is just building drones.
Yep, because I think Jaedong is going to be quite okay to see that Forge. For now, he knows he didn't see the Forge actually yet. He's going to drop both Extractors at the 6-minute mark. It's pretty late, not super duper late, like not, oh my god, so crazy greedy late, but it's definitely a little greedy.
Yeah, a lot of Zerg players like to go for the 5:45, sometimes 5:30 mark.
Yep. So this is definitely on the greedy end of the spectrum.
The most annoying Overlord finally dies. Did you see the Forge though with his dying breath?
This time he did see it. His last words were Forge spinning with +1.
The Forge.
It's a Forge. I knew it was. Now Oz is actually gonna go up to 3. Okay, so Oz is taking sort of a puck approach to all this. He's like, okay, my opponent's playing very greedy. That's fine. I'm Protoss. I don't have to do something about this. I can just play very greedy on my own. He's dropping a Twilight console now, and I very much wonder when the robotics facility is gonna go down. Because if he waits with the Robo, some Zerg players like to go up to maybe let's say 55 or 62 drones, and then just make a ridiculous amount of roaches. And without a robotics facility, that can be very tricky to deal with. Yes, of course, Blink Stalkers are good and Sentries are good against roaches, but you do need a lot of units to deal with that kind of pressure, and we do see the Robo being warped in immediately. So I kind of like this play from Oz. I think this is a Proto style that's very hard to execute, but is very good.
Yeah, I like it too. Mostly because Jaedong just doesn't have any way to deal with this fast third base. And I think sometimes for a Zerg player, you'd prefer to try to defend a little bit of aggression from the Protoss rather than go straight into that, playing against a 3-base toss. Because if Jaedong tries to counter that fourth with a really, or that third base, excuse me, with a really fast fourth base of his own, suddenly that starts to line up better for Oz to do something like a +2 timing.
Yes, exactly. And Jaedong has to be very careful. If he makes units, they have to be for a good cause. This can truly go either way. It's a good scout over here by Oz, as we can take a look at his vision. And he sees pretty much everything that he needs to see. There wasn't too much to see, but he saw the Roach one, saw the Evolution Chamber. And just at +1 carapace. So far, Nate, it's roaches. And there's a lot of free supply over here for Jaedong as well. He's mining off all 6 Extractors. It could be roaches into Mutalisk, but Jaedong not really your Muda type of guy in general in this
No.
matchup. A couple of Zerglings made their way into the main base. No idea
I mean,
how that happened.
Jaedong's had his moments of epic Muta switches, though. There's, you know, he's not he's certainly not a stranger to it, but I haven't seen in recent times. He's going right for that infestation pit. These Zerglings being able to run around and be annoying are
They
very
actually
nice.
get
too.
out.
That's actually really impressive.
And now they go back in.
It's like, well, it's like, I know we weren't supposed to get in the first time, but I guess leaving is also not what we want to do either. Try to kill a probe. No luck, though.
Almost got it. So Jaedong is going up to 4 bases. He still has free supply, so he can fire up a lot of units if he wants to. But he's actually down 6 workers. Now that is normally something to worry about. He's gonna start a few more drones, so he will eventually be able to take. But it's not like Jaedong went absolutely crazy. Okay, the infestation pit went up.
Swarm
It's
hosts.
going to be Swarm host playstyle. But this time we have relatively quick Colossus. I'm
Yeah,
very
I mean,
curious to see.
I can see the Swarm host play working out though a little bit. I mean, at least it fits the map, right? This map is small. There's not a lot of bases, so you can starve your opponent out pretty quickly. If you
It fits
can.
the map, but I'm just surprised to see Jaedong do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought. I would have thought Jaedong more of like a big attack into Muta switch than a Swarm host guy.
Yep.
But I haven't seen him play recently,
Yeah,
so I guess he's changed things up.
I mean, he definitely had his Swarm host games multiple times even, and pretty much in all matchups as well. I think he was part of that one pretty famous game that was played on the DreamHack. I'm not sure if you were there, Nate, against, I think it could have been Zenster or Mini Razor.
He played a game versus Stefano with Swarm hosts too, Lone Star Clash, no?
Yeah, yeah.
That was an awful game.
Yep. I think Stefano won that one eventually.
Well, I wouldn't want to play a Swarm host versus Stefano. Not in a million years.
There are a couple of Zealots completely undetected on the left side of the map that are just going to ram away this natural, or on this natural, on this fort hatchery. Jaedong is going to send a few units over here trying to save it. He will save it, but it already took quite a bit of damage. So that's going to be nice for us in the later stage in the game. He can follow this up and he can actually go all out crazy. Not a whole lot of units have died so far in this game, and that will probably stay for a while, because as soon as Oz is going to see like, alright, okay, you have Swarm host. Ooh. I think Jaedong doesn't know about his army in the middle of the map, Nate. He's gonna get.
Oh, okay, those locusts definitely saw some of the forces. I don't know if you saw the Colossus out of the map though. Okay, that Zergling should have seen most everything.
Because even though Oz's army right now is definitely not capable of just straight up winning the game, if he puts himself in a good position and he starts zoning out the locust with a couple of good force fields, he can find himself perhaps making his way into the natural or even into the main and killing a lot of buildings.
Yeah, this is actually kind of interesting because he didn't break down those rocks in the center of his base either. So as this army moves towards the northwest, actually picks off a Swarm host or two. But he's getting himself quite a few choke points to work with here. Jaedong's going to try to go for a surround. I don't know how well this is going to work when there's force fields available.
Yeah, this is not really going to work at all. I think he's not too worried about these units, but...
Oh, he's just going to get boxed in. I think he might lose all of these forces.
Oh, they're going to try to be faster than the sentries. Well,
Nope.
very okay force fields there by us. Very okay force fields. Gets a lot of roaches for his efforts, but this is not the end of the world for Jaedong, as he can actually replace most of those roaches immediately. So I guess he's not too happy about losing them after all.
And that's unfortunate. He's going to kill just a zealot. He's barely killed nothing for like this whole army that he's lost. But the only thing he has on his pull Oz around, so Oz can't really attack him. And now there's Vipers coming out and plus 2 Carapace. But is that enough?
That is a very good point, though, Nate. He did buy time for Vipers, so now if Oz wants to start trying to fight these Swarm hosts, how many do we have? We have 14. Now that's a scary number, but that's not a super scary number. That's not an unbreakable amount of Swarm hosts, if you ask me. These Stalkers currently have +2, of course the Colossus +2 as well. And they have Blink, and with all these force fields available, with only 14 Swarm hosts, I can perhaps see Oz do this, Nate. And he can also warp in a couple of Zealots, send it to this hatchery, at least pick up that fort base. Jaedong is counter-attacking, but it's not a very successful one, as there is a cannon. That's so many Stalkers for Oz, my god.
This is actually a disgusting amount of Stalkers. He's going to pull the Colossus in, though, gets one of them with a Viper. I do believe he has another Viper. He lost one.
Yeah, but Jaedong is just going to lose 2 bases immediately. He's going to lose his third. He's also going to lose his fort.
Yeah, I don't know how. I actually don't know how he's supposed to stop this.
Force fields. Oz needs a couple of force fields, though. He don't really. Oh, actually, he's going to try to kill all the locusts. Colossus gets abducted, but it doesn't die immediately, and that's a really bad sign if you're playing Swarm mode. If you abduct the Colossus and it doesn't die, the Observer dies to the Spore Crawlers, but Oz puts himself in a really okay position over here, as he's going to be able to get 2 out of the 4 bases of Jaedong.
Yeah, really nice pickups here, as Oz still comfortably sitting on his 3 bases, all 3 of them still mining. still a little bit of money left, and now that top left base has a big target painted on it. And Oz, just an absurd number of Stalkers, is going to continue to push in.
Is he going to blink forward, try to kill a couple of Swarmers?
I didn't even realize when this mass Stalker thing became a thing, but these Roaches come in, help snipe one of the Colossi, and this mobile force is just abusing Jaedong right now.
Yeah, the Swarmos count was just not high enough. Like, Stalkers are, of course, not good against Locusts, but if you have this many of them and you have a few Colossus to complement them as well, not a big forward blink by Oz, and Jaedong is really starting to crumble right now under this pressure. He's losing more and more Swarmos. Good Zealot warp in on top of these Swarmos.
And he's just continuing to push through. The Swarmos reposition themselves towards that natural. He's got 13 more Roaches on the way, but this time around, oh, he keeps the Observer alive. And with that Observer, he's going to be able to take out all the Swarm hosts. He even has the Warp Prism behind the Swarm hosts to warp in Zealots and block this out. That's going to be too much. GG. Oz ties the series up 1 apiece here in WCS America Premier League.
Yeah, really good play there by Oz. I really loved it as well with the Warp Prism warping in all those Zealots like you pointed out in the end. I'm a little bit surprised by the strategy that Jaedong went for, and above all the way that he executed it. Because he let Oz get away with a very, very economic opening. You know, Protoss going up to 3 bases while he's basically working on 1 gateway. That is very economic, and you can say it's pretty hard to deal with that, or it's pretty hard to do something about it. However, if Jaedong, who did we see? Who was the Zerg the other week? That exactly on Overgrowth, exact same scenario, and the Robo was a little late in that game, and that Zerg player just maxed out on Roaches, and he sent, it was probably Jan, but I'm not sure if it really was Jan, but it's possible.
Wasn't it? It was Snoot versus Night End.
Ah, yeah, it was Snoot. What tournament was that?
It was
Battlegrounds Global Qualifier.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. All right, it was the exact same scenario. Night End going for pretty much for the exact same build as Oz did. And Snoot is just like, all right, well, if you're opening up like that, I'll just make my amount of drones.
Infinite amount of roaches.
And then I just throw 40, 50 roaches your way. And it's really hard to deal with that if you don't have a steady immortal count. Of course, it's a risky build because if you make all these roaches and they don't do what you're looking for, then you're going to die. But, you know, Jaedong made an okay-ish amount of units, never really tried to do anything with it. Actually slowed his own economy down quite a bit. Then decided to go into Swarmos. Okay, that's a solid choice. There's nothing wrong with the Swarmos in this matchup. But you need more, especially if you think your opponent is the type of player that's not going to sit back and just immediately rush out like 3 Stargates, Carriers, Tempest, whatever.
Yeah.
If your opponent is the type of Protoss like Oz that is going to get a lot of gateways, upgrades, Colossus, and then just tries to kill you, 14 Swarmos is simply not enough. I think you need way more. I think you need closer to 20 to deal with that amount of gateway units.
And he always fought where Oz wanted him to fight too. Like, you're in that choke point by that 3rd base that Jaedong had, and you have like this very small alleyway where all of your locusts are going to get funneled in that lets the Colossi get their full splash damage off. And if you kill those back rocks, sometimes you can try to go for flanks or because he also had that very large Ling Roach force that he just completely threw away. And yeah, it bought him time, but you know, you'd rather throw away a couple of units to buy time, not probably like 50, maybe 50, 60 supply worth of units.
Yeah, at first I wasn't too worried about it because I thought he wanted different units anyway, but as soon as he lost the Roaches, he immediately started 14 more, so you're 100% right, Nate. He definitely didn't want to lose him like that. Of course, all props go to Oz as well for excellent map awareness, for, you know, zoning out those Roaches, trying to just not be susceptible at all to a counterattack one way or the other, and of course making sure that this Colossus didn't get abducted, because if he starts that fight and the first 3 Colossus get abducted and they die into the Locust immediately, then no matter how well Oz does it, which is pure Stalkers, he's just not going to be able to stay around because you'll be so busy microing your ass off against all these Locusts that everything else will fall apart. It's just not doable without Colossus, but he survived. He lost one of them immediately, but the other 2 stayed alive for so long, and then when one of them got abducted, he didn't even die, and then you just know that you're in a really good position as Protoss.
No, that was a tough position to be in for Jaedong. He's going to try to bring it back. We have a tied series here, so this next map determines who moves on to play against Pulp and who falls down to play against Max Zed. It's going to be played out on Merry-Go-Round, which I think is a pretty interesting map for this matchup in particular because we see, well, usually not fast 3rd Nexus builds. That's for sure.
I'd be shocked if we see 1 gate into 3 Nexus on this map. Of course, the 3rd is very wide open, and we can talk all about it as we are looking at the Red Protoss base. Runner-up of WCS America 2014 Premier League Season 1. Representing Planet Key Dynamics, it is Oz. The Wizard of Oz. Talk about cheesy nicknames, Nate. The guy who came up with that really didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. Yeah. He just went with the first thing that jumped to his mind. Like, we need a nickname for Oz. Let's call him the Wizard of Oz.
Well, who is that actually like his nickname though? Like,
I mean, it's been used.
I mean, it's anyone could say it. It's just like a cop out. Like if you introduce him as Wizard of Oz, which I've done before, it's just a cop out. But what else can you do with Oz?
Oh, we have a small tweet by Meanie as well.
Yeah, if Jaedong doesn't win, I'm blaming every single one of you for not raising your dongers hard enough. Hashtag WCS. Well,
let's focus on the game.
Yeah, well. sorry, chat mods.
Poor Twitch chat. EG Jaedong is of course our blue Zerg spawning on the right top side of merry-go-round. Jaedong still looking for that first ticket to the round of 16 in 2014. Still been doing good, but it's a very big day for Jaedong and all the Jaedong fans out there. And above all, Nate, a good WCS run is pretty much going to secure Jaedong his ticket to BlizzCon, but he needs a good run. He needs to make it to the round of 8 pretty much. And of course, once Jaedong is in the round of 8, he can go all the way. But he needs to get those points. It's super important. Otherwise, like we said before, he's going to have a very, very busy few months ahead of him. And he's going to have to try to sign up for every single tournament that is giving some WCS points away.
Yeah, every tournament at that rate. There's not really a crazy amount left because Jaedong hasn't been participating in any of the North American events that I've seen so far. I don't know how he's done as far as Intel Extreme Masters Toronto is concerned.
Yeah, he can always go.
But he hasn't
Toronto.
played in like any of the. He hasn't made it to get any runs. I don't even know if he signed up for like the Battlegrounds qualifiers.
He could go to Detroit. Like if he drops out in the round of 32, I wouldn't be surprised to see Jaedong sign up for Battlegrounds Detroit.
Yeah, there's a lot of WCS points that are going to be there too. That's a good point.
Of course, $25,000 tournament, open bracket to anybody. Or yeah, anybody can come.
Yeah, I think Jaedong would have fun in an open bracket, and that open bracket especially.
Jaedong once again has not dropped any extractors yet. It's been a one gate into Nexus for us over here.
Jaedong's not afraid to play greedy on this map too. No fear from the Dong.
So with this build, Oz is gonna have even quicker access to warp gate technology than you normally have. Of course, merry-go-round such a good map for 2 base pushes. Unfortunately for us, he didn't spawn on the left side. That would have been a little bit better for him. Then he could use this high ground as a staging ground and get so close to the natural of Jaedong. And it would also force Jaedong to expand all the way over here. Doesn't really change that much for Jaedong whether it's here or here. He just wants to expand away of the Protoss. However, Nate, I really think that this is an open invitation for us to put on some 4 gateway pressure or just a strong 2 base timing.
Yeah.
He's mining a lot of gas. It could be his target opening.
Pretty much everybody likes to do it on this map, though, right? Like big 2 base pushes. I'd almost put money on it if we get Max Ed versus Jaedong on this map. It's gonna be some sort of 2 base immortal push.
Yep.
So these Chinese players love.
And they've actually been super successful with it as well, even against Zergs like Jaedong. I think that Jaedong is going to end up losing this Overlord. Robotics facility is warped in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. That's a pretty early RoboNet.
Yeah. Pretty early robotics facility. And this Overlord, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
And of course, guys, merry-go-round is also, despite this being a very hard map for Protoss to go up to 3 bases, it's also a very hard map for Zerg players to scout, because every Overlord that goes in, there's no way out. There's no like little plateau over here anywhere that's going to give him protection, it's going to give him high ground. Nope. If he flies in, he's going to be dead. Jaedong is going to have a hard time identifying that this is coming. However, at least he doesn't have to worry about something super crazy early. He did drop his extractors a lot quicker, by the way.
You know what I like what Oz did, though? He took this gas on the right side of his natural, so the Overlord for Jaedong can see that, but he doesn't know that there's no gas on the left side of the natural. And like you said,
yep. If
he can't scout that without sacking his Overlord. And I think with the Stalker and the Sentry out, he might even be able to, if it tried to go in. It's going to be a big immortal push.
Yep.
It has to be.
Yeah, first Immortals fire up already. Indeed, it has to be. It would be very surprising if it's not. Taking a look at the work count for Oz, he's currently on 38, so he's got even more work than he normally would. I think he can have 3 Immortals out and leave his base by like 8 minutes and 40 seconds, which is just super duper quick. That's Spartan levels of quick.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna probably add like 4 or 5 more gateways. There we see 2 gateways being added. He can eventually add a few more. Jaedong already starting to produce roaches though, Nate. He is definitely aware of the, hey, I'm playing on merry-go-round. My Protoss player is not really doing a whole lot yet. I have the idea that he's just macroing up at home and then he's gonna try to win this game on 2 bases. So Jaedong is firing up a ridiculous amount of units. What was that final that we recently saw? Was it between MC and Suckscree, right? That game on Overgrowth.
I don't think I caught that game.
Yeah, you did. There was a final where all the sentries and immortals got caught in the middle of the map. We watched the game together. This is the DreamHack final, right?
Oh, that one. Yeah.
On Overgrowth. Like, Suckscree also started producing units so extremely quickly. Now you can do two things with it. You can counterattack, or you can engage, ambush this army. However, if Oz sees the army of Jaedong, then he's not going to move out before he has one more big warp in.
Yeah, this is tricky. If he surrounds him with this many units before, like you said, he gets that pylon for the follow-in warp in, that's where things get really, really difficult.
Or a counterattack. Like, a counterattack is devastating too, but Jaedong can also just go for it. He knows that the units are leaving. He's going to try to ambush his army before the warp-ins are there. There are Zerg units streaming in from either side. What do you do now if you're Oz?
No,
you go back
he's
home.
Bringing the Immortals back. He's got one of them here. The Zerglings actually should be able to get on top of this one. Yeah, he will, as the Roaches just run straight in to the main base. That Immortal is saved. Where's the Mothership Core? No recall. He's not actually close enough to recall the army. So he can't catch these units. They're too fast.
And Jaedong is buying so much time with this counterattack. Of course, it's risky as well. I have no idea if this is like a good move or not. I think it is, because he's buying a lot of time. But he's also going to end up losing a lot of units, and he still has to worry about those 3 Immortals.
Yeah, the Zerglings, though, they're finally going to get on top of some of these probes. The Immortals are going to clean up these Roaches without any difficulty, but it's all about keeping these Lings running around, keeping Oz distracted.
He gets the Sentry there.
Sentry's a good kill. I love this Immortal drop, man. He's like, he's
taking too much time. There are more Zerglings in the natural now as well. Jaedong is all over the natural of Oz, and Oz is really starting to fall apart. And he lost his cybernetics core as well, right? Cybernetics core was part of the wall. That means no more sentries. Look at these sentries are dying as well.
He
what a great attack by Jaedong.
In Zealots, he's got 600 gas. He actually can't build anything with this gas.
This was absolutely beautiful by Jaedong.
And he loads up 2 Immortals. What's he gonna do? He's just gonna fly into his base and try to warp in Zealots all day against Roachling? I don't think so.
He's gonna have to worry about home as well. He still has no wall. He's gonna get a robotics bay.
He needs a cybernetics core.
He needs a wall off above all, because if the Zerglings now stream in, this is a lot of Zerglings again. This counterattack is gonna do some work though, even though Oz has no money to warp in any Zealots. This is going to be annoying. I wonder how Jaedong is gonna deal with it. What are the Immortals gonna focus? The spawning pool maybe? Yeah, I guess.
That's an interesting choice.
He has no wall over here. He does have force fields. He has a photon overcharge, and he has 1 Immortal in the mix.
Yeah, well, he kills the spawning pool. Jaedong will need to Whoa! 25 hit points, just one more shot. Now he loses in natural too. GG.
Sick move by Jaedong. Sonic produced units so much quicker than Zerg players normally do it on 45 drones. And he could have done it 2 ways. He could have tried to intercept the army before the big warp in is ready, or he could have gone for the counterattack, and he chose the latter, and he just did everything right. He bought so much time for it. He picked up the cyber core, started running around with Zerglings in the natural, still reinforcements coming in as well, and he got so many sentries for his efforts that in the end, he stopped this push without ever even fighting it.
Yeah, just didn't really make any mistakes with the way that he set up and prepared for that, because honestly, lots of Zerg players, you get caught off guard by something like that, you're like, okay, let's get my lair up, let's get some evolution chambers, we'll start roach speed. He actually waited to get all of those things a little bit longer than you typically expect, but it paid off really well for him because he had exactly what he needed to hold that push, or at the very least, keep it from ever actually becoming a push at his base. And that's going to allow Jaedong to move on now. He's going to play against Pult in the winner's match. Oz is going to fall down to play against Maxed.
That's, of course, the rematch of WCS America 2013 Grand Final, Season 2. Back then, Pult was able to win 4-0. And even though Game 1 and 2 were really close and good back then, Game 3 and 4, Pult was just all over the place. He was too much to handle, but that's such a long time ago that other than just for relevance, it's not even really relevant anymore. Not too, or for statistics, it's not really relevant anymore. Not too long ago, though, however, Jaedong did finally get his revenge on Pult during the Lone Star Clash 3, where he was able to defeat Pult in the final. I believe the final score was 4-2. It could have been 4-1 as well, but I think it was 4-2. Either way, Jaedong was really happy with that, and he said, finally got my revenge on Pult. Been waiting on it for a while. So that's going to be a great match. But of course, in WCS style, we are going to do our lower bracket match first. So that's the match. That's going to be a PvP, actually, between Oz and Maxed.
Yep. Oz versus Maxed to determine the first player eliminated from Group C of WCS America Premier League. And that's going to come up after this short commercial break. Of course, guys, keep throwing your tweets out. Hashtag WCS. We love reading your tweets. They're funny. They're good. We do. You can mess with the chat moderators. All the beautiful
Go
things
easy on them, though. Go easy on them.
All right, we'll see you guys after the break. You're watching WCS America Group C.